Exit 161, we're reconstructing that whole entire interchange to be a modified single point urban interchange. It's scheduled for the construction of 2024, 2025, and 2026. It's a $47.5 million project, mostly concrete roadway and some asphalt ends on the ramps. This is just the general overview. I put a KML file of the alignments of the new interchange on top of the old, so you can see we're building the new bridge off to the west side. North is up in this picture, and adding 2 loop ramps in the attempt to slow down or eliminate as many conflicts with left turn lanes as possible. The current interchange does not function very well at all when it's busy time traffic. There's just too much truck traffic coming in and out of the truck stop down here, and so many trucks, businesses and things over here, they're coming out and wanting to go west to Mandan, and this left turn motion just plugs up everything northbound. Same with when you're coming southbound, there's a lot of traffic on here, not quite enough lanes, and you're always waiting at this intersection down here for truck traffic and other things in this place to come south. So that plugs that up too, and we're working on getting that fixed. That's the intent of this. This is just a little bit close up so you can see kind of the dimensions and what's changing in here. What you got here is these are the permanent ramps, the new interchange. These off things over here, these are temporary loop ramps that will be used for the to carry traffic for different phases of construction. And this is also temporary ramp alignment over here for a separate stage to access these interstates or to get off of them. But generally, we're going to have for the eastbound interstate traffic, we're going to have an A and B interchange, whereas when you come off the interstate currently, now you come along this ramp and you're able to turn left and go north. Well, we want to eliminate that as much as possible, so we put in a B interchange where if you want to go south, you take this and go. If you're coming from Mandan, you want to go north, you take the B and you get north. Westbound traffic, you still exit on the same ramp that you have here, but you enter it with an additional loop ramp that's been added to eliminate the left turn lane to go west. So when you're coming north, and you want to go to Mandan, you'll come around this loop ramp and enter the interstate here. When you're south and want to go to the west towards Mandan, you'll come down and you'll take this new loop ramp or this new regular ramp here in interchange. So that should free up a bunch of stuff. The bridge here is 100+ feet wide. So there's a lot of beams to be set and all good stuff like that. So it's a pretty intense project. This is a scope of work. First phase is 1A and B, which was built in 2024. It was to be completed by October 26th, which we did meet the requirements from the special provision for what had to be done in 2026. Basically, we built right here the bridge embankment on each side of the abutments here. That was to be built the final grade with dirt, meaning to the top of the final surface, top of the concrete, top of the dirt, all that stuff is built to be a surcharge for a 90-day settlement period. We added some instrumentation installed into the existing ground to monitor this electronically. And we also still did the old-fashioned settlement plates where you put the metal plate on the ground and have a rod there that you can take shots on as to measure the settlement. Also to be built this year or in 2024 was to build the temporary loop ramp here, a temporary widening here for the on-ramp for the eastbound interstate, and a temporary loop over here for the westbound interstate. Those were the major requirements for 2024. They also allowed parts of phase 2A to be built where where we can put as much embankment in along here as feasible, which was the intent, was to allow the contractor to get more work done in 2024, and they were allowed to build dirt up basically to the same level as the toe of the slough on the asphalt here. This is phase 2A, which I just talked about, which they did do some of this. They got a lot of this embankment in, like I mentioned earlier, and part of this was allowed for 2024. So in 2025, they'll be starting with this kind of work in here. This is these are going to be some photos of what was done this last season in 2024. The project got started here. The contractor opted to start work on this temporary loop ramp right here in the northeast corner. They wanted to get that built so they could provide traffic to build the bridge embankment on the north side of the interstate, which they have started here. So they come up the pit. The borrow pit is at the landfill, which is off this right in here. That's part of the landfill building. That's where the borrow pit. They had a bunch of clay for us to use. So they hauled this material. They would take this route and get under and start building this. So this is just another view of it. You can kind of see how they flow traffic here. Right now they're just working on this north embankment and using this. They would come up and around. So one day on this one, they would come around. These trucks would wait for the other truck to come out because it's just a one-lane road underneath this underneath the bridge here. And when they come out, they would go back to the borrow site by taking this other ramp they built and accessing the existing northeast ramp so they can use the signal to go left and back to the project. So time has progressed, and here the current bridge embankments on the north and south side are basically complete at this time. You can see in these little dots here, those are basically our settlement plates. Out here is a sensor or a system for talking to and getting the settlement from the digital process. And in this picture, the dirt work on both these temporary ramps has now been pretty much completed. You can see there's some geogrid. That's all the plans have geogrid on top of all the subgrade and below the aggregate base on this entire project on all the roadway. That's what they're putting in. And in this picture, you can see some guys here. So what you're doing here is you're looking to the northwest is what we're looking at here. Just some more pictures close up. You can see they're done here. We got all our seating in. We had something called turf. Oh, what the heck was it? Turf reinforcement mat, I believe it was called TRM, which is a spray you put on here, which is you put your hydromulch in it so you can see where your application is, but it's a chemical type deal that binds the soil together nice and tight to try to help eliminate raindrops and things of washing this off. But that's the north embankment there, which is complete. We paved these temporary loops, and they're pretty much getting their top lift on this point in time. You can see in this picture, they're going to be done with the paving on this day when they were paving this. And these guys are down here prepping because there's this widening of this existing ramp has to be built, and that's what they're starting here. So once this paving was done, they start working on this ramp widening. Then we started with pile driving. They started at the pier 2 work in the median. You can see here, that's where they worked. And then they worked to the north side and then came back to the side. Our surveyors out here getting ready to mark out for the piling on this side and elevations over there. This is generally what the project looked like when we're all said and done, except for all the equipment's out of the way. In this picture, Everything, all the concrete on the abutments is poured. The pier footing, the pier wall, the pier columns, and the pier cap has not been poured yet, but it was poured the very next day. This was on October 24th, which is pretty close to October 26th. They just had to have the concrete work done to meet the special provisions for the work requirements for 2024. You can see all the work, all the dirt that they've added in here along these ramps along here. Right now, what we're looking at here is we're looking north again. So once the pier cap was poured, the special provision allowed for off-season work to be done. They just had to submit a plan that involved what kind of traffic control they might need and what work they were going to do. So what we allowed in the district was they proposed the cure time, the stripping of the forms and molding out of the median was the only thing that really needed any traffic control, and that was able to remain in place. We put a completion date on that of November 9th to have all that taken away. Otherwise, they would get liquidated damages per special provision of $5,000 a day. 2025 work to be done. There's a lot of work in 2025 to be done. It has a completion date of November 15th of 2025, and according to the contractor's schedule, we will be working right up to November 15th. The day before, there's not much float in here because it's a lot of work. It's a tight work area, and there's a lot of different traffic control phases we have to go through and things like that. So 2025, we will be beginning. There's some work here. You can see these dark areas in the median and these widenings over in here and up in here. That has to be built in 2025. The medians are removed. The raised medians have been removed, including this island, which will be, and then it's paved with asphalt, and traffic will be utilizing this to cross around, to get our traffic moved around. So we have maintain traffic, and they will have to utilize this. The main portion of phase 2A is to get all these west ramps built. These west ramps will be out of service, and traffic will be exiting the interstate using our temporary loop ramp here, where they can come up and go north or south. Southbound traffic will come in, and there'll be a little bit of head-to-head here where these guys are coming this way. Traffic will be coming this way at this point to access this. When you're coming from the west and you want to exit, of course, you just take the old ramp. You can go north or south at this. If you want to go to Mandan off of Bismarck Expressway / Centennial Road, northbound traffic will utilize this loop ramp, and southbound traffic also will, with a left turn signal here. So a left turn movement, that's how they access it for this phase. This is phase 2B. Everything here is supposedly with these hash marks here and things. This pattern mark was completed in phase 2A. Phase 2B is now to close off Miriam Avenue, construct this whole entire roadway, construct this segment of the crossroad, construct this segment of crossroad up here onto Centennial Drive, or Centennial Road up to Trenton Drive, and this little section here where we make a little bit bigger right turn lane for accessing Trenton Drive. You see these little sections here, that's for future use, and you'll see in the next thing why. So now the next phase, we're building all these. These are, according to the plans, this will eventually be a raised median, but for now we're not doing that portion. We're just constructing this and paving it with asphalt along with this. Oops, sorry about that. Along with this area, and these areas. This is to allow traffic to utilize this portion, because traffic will have to use this to be shifted around. And later on, when we're demolishing the bridge, traffic from the interstate traffic will be closed off, and traffic will have to go up the ramp, across, and down to keep continuing on the interstate. So that's what these portions of areas are being done for, so that we can carry traffic up and over for that kind of work. The next phase is phase 3A. Everything here has been done. Now what we're working on is the basically east side of the roadway. Everything here that's hash marked is to be worked on during that phase. So you can see here this southeast this southeast permanent ramp will be built. We're going to be building the construction, the temporary ramp connection, like we talked about before. We'll be building the new permanent ramp over here along this way. Phase 3B, of course, continues now. Now we switch to the southeast ramp work, the other side of Miriam Avenue interchange, and we start concentrating over here on the new northeast access loop. And we tie the ramp into this previous work that we did here. There's some shoulder removal here because we took the whole shoulder off where these ramps tie into each other. Like this big acceleration taper, they have us taking the existing shoulders off and building up to the concrete pavement that's over here. This is phase 3C. Most of this work here is basically to be done in 2026. Here's all our concrete medians that we left out from the previous time where we're going to have curb and gutter and concrete in here. Curb and gutter in here is missing. There's asphalt here. So we'll be removing all this asphalt work that we had temporarily placed in here and putting in our raised median islands and putting them like the permanent alignment would be, and removing this ramp here. So 2025 is going to be really, really busy. It's going to be traffic control, restricted lanes north and south, and the entire, probably starting in April, middle of April, all the way, most likely all the way to November 15th. 2026 has an August 26th completion date because it's just all this finish up work. And if the contractor schedule holds up, we'll be done well before that date in 2026.